Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Yet again, we have a very short and small crew today. I say short because Dark is 5'7", correct, Dark?
Oh, fuck out of here.
But no, it's going to be a short podcast, hopefully, unless, I don't know, if you see the timer and it says 3 hours, we failed, but I doubt that. Not a lot of news this week. Everyone else was too busy. I'll be honest, I don't think they're actually busy. I think they lie usually to get out of doing the podcast. But hey, you know what? I'm still here. I got perfect attendance, and Dark is joining me today.
How's it going?
Very loose podcast. We got some news stories, very light news, but hey, we wanted to talk about some games as well. We've been playing a lot of Shadow of the Erdtree. Wanted to discuss that. But first off, some housekeeping. Check us out, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are caught. Like the podcast, helps us out a lot. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I think we're all ready to jump into the episode, which yet again is a very short one. First thing, I found this interesting. So the developer of Mario and Luigi Brothership, this is Stealth40k on Twitter, is rumored to be Ilka. Ilka developed Diamond and Pearl remake, Sandland, and One Piece Odyssey. Now the whole point of this is that there's not actually anything official, but a lot of people that was at Alpha Dream, and if you remember, Dark, Alpha Dream shut down. A lot of the people at Alpha I remember, it was a war scar. But a lot of those people at Alpha Dream were kind of dispersed across Nintendo, and apparently a lot of them are at Ilka, so that's currently the big rumor at the moment. Do you have any thoughts on that? It seems like a good developer choice. I think a lot of people were scared because it's like, oh, Ilka, they did the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I think that was more of a Pokemon company fuck up than Ilka themselves.
I mean, even if you want to really dive into the Pokemon situation, I know so many people got scared because of it. They did a remake of Diamond and Pearl, and it's a solid remake of Diamond and Pearl. Yet there's other issues outside of that was not their fault, is really the Pokemon company's fault for telling them to do a direct remake of Diamond and Pearl instead of Platinum. But for what it was good. They didn't fuck anything up. It just did the wrong version of the game.
Yeah, it just felt so bare bones. It was like, oh, here's Diamond and Pearl again. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it's just Diamond and Pearl with a worse art style. So it's like, yeah, I have no reason to play them compared to Platinum.
But that said, I don't have any issues with that. The other games that you mentioned, those are good games too.
Yep.
And
no,
the
game itself, Odyssey is great. Sandland.
Great the game itself looked fucking great too, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I know a lot of people are like questioning who's working on it or whatever. I know this is like a rumor. Whenever you can pre-order the game, you can check like because on the Switch you're able to actually check who made the game and you're able to like preload it. Then we'll find out.
I don't think that's the case for Switch games, like first-party releases, though.
It is because I remember when Xenoblade 3 had its DLC, people found out Bandai Namco was involved before the whole like Xenosaga connection because they checked who was working on the game on the Switch. There's a way to do it. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but you need a way to be able to preload the game.
Yeah, I think the problem though is that like that was a situation where it's like Bandai Namco and they're more third-party companies, so I think
that's true.
Easier to check, and that was a DLC. This is the case of like a first-party Nintendo game. They're a lot better at hiding stuff like that. They probably, I don't know why Nintendo does this. I feel like I get frustrated, but it's also like, what can you do? For some reason, they like to view all their games as Nintendo games.
I mean, Nintendo does Nintendo things. Keep in mind, everyone thought Nintendo had nothing this fucking year, besides like remakes and ports. And then they just announced like a major title for nearly every single one of their biggest IPs.
That was shocking to me. They were like, here's a Mario Party, here's a new Zelda. It's like, what the fuck? We were expecting like ports and stuff. I mean, hey, listen, Nintendo, they're very quick with that marketing. They're like, yeah, 3 months is enough time.
Yeah, Nintendo this shit.
That's weird. I hope eventually they stop that. I don't think they will. I think they're gonna stick to the you don't need because they were asked about it by Steven Totillo, and they were like, you're gonna have to wait until the game comes out. Just tell us.
Yeah, at that point, why are you being so secretive at that point?
That's weird. Do you believe the like? Because some people are saying like, oh well, it's so they can protect their developers from harassment online. They don't care. I don't think that's really an issue, or at least like not a noticeable enough issue to where Nintendo wants to hide them.
I mean, it's definitely an issue with some games, but like I don't think like, especially when the game look good, people want to like. There is nothing but positive reception for this game. I haven't seen a single person be like, "Oh, the game looks bad."
Yeah, 100%. Anyways, moving on. This is kind of like small news story, but I kind of wanted to jump off of it. Hasdor Gaming has this: Avowed will be as long as the Outer Worlds in terms of size and scope, says director Kerry Patel. Game features a series of open zones that are connected and unlock over the course of the game, rather than one giant map that you can walk through from beginning to end. And I was reading other interviews about this game, and I wanted to ask, what's your hype level for this game? Because I know Bop is excited, I know Cyber is excited. Every time I hear more about this game, I get less excited.
I want to be excited. I'm going to play it because it looks interesting. I don't really know where I sit with it. It's one of those weird games, right? It looks really cool. I just don't know if I'm like hyped for it, if that makes sense.
I don't know. It's like I feel like I don't see anything about this game that like grabs me. It kind of just looks like a fantasy RPG, but an Obsidian style. But like,
So the Outer Worlds, that's that one space game, right? Like space RPG.
yeah, the space in
Okay.
2019.
Yeah. So I played that. I remember now. I played that and I beat that in a day and then completely forgot about it. So if they're saying this is like the, and I'm not saying the Outer Worlds is a bad game. It was fine, but
It's just not memorable.
I forgot about it like so quickly afterwards, and it
Yeah,
wasn't a long experience.
Yeah, again, it's not a bad game. It's just not a game I think about often. I'm sorry, Bob. We got to mention Bob every episode, by the way. Shout out to Bob. But like, he loves Outer Worlds, so I know this news probably got him pumping his fists in the air. For some reason, it's like oh, it's gonna be open zone. It's like make an open world. Like Obsidian is such a weird company to me, where it's like they made Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my favorite games of all time, and then everything else, I'm like, I don't care about most of your games. Like Stick of Truth, I also love. I know Star Wars KOTOR 2 is good, but then it's like Pillars of
KOTOR
Eternity.
2 is really good.
Pillars of Eternity. It's like, what? It's like this game is set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. It's like I have to ask, is there anyone actually passionate about the Pillars of Eternity universe? Like genuinely, do you think that's a thing?
All 3 fans of the series.
I just like, I don't know. I listen, if I was Microsoft, I'm like, about no, make Fallout, make a new Fallout game. Like that's personally my viewpoint. It just feels like you have such a talented studio, and like I get make them do what they want, but at a point you're like, is this actually the IP that's going to sell consoles? I don't think so.
Oh no,
Okay,
it's
that's
not
a
a.
very very harsh way
If you're
to
putting
say it.
I mean, it's not a harsh thing to say, but I don't think anyone's expecting this to be a console seller. But it's just a nice addition to Game Pass. That's the way I'm viewing everything.
Yeah,
To be
for
honest,
sure.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I know some people like bench will be like Game Pass is bad. I think Xbox's whole plan. I'm sorry for going on like a tangent, but I think Xbox's like whole plan is just make Game Pass as appealing with so much variety and day one shit as possible. So you kind of just like shotgun blasting everybody in the face. And if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It just feels like one of those games.
Tiny thing here. I don't think you have too much to say about this, but also from Hazardor Gaming, Sony working on select backwards compatible titles. Rumors say this is from Exceptional Nick, which he has a pretty decent track record. Not the best, but still pretty decent. I listen. I've been wanting fucking PS3 backwards compatibility forever because if you don't know, Doug, PS3 games on PS5, oh, you gotta stream them. You don't get to play them natively because Sony doesn't know how to fucking emulate their own console. So I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm really big on emulation, so stuff like backwards compatibility and stuff like that. I like that, and the Xbox really got me into that when they did that big push. It always confused me why Sony is always having so much issues with it or refusing to dive into it.
That's okay. So the big thing is that the PS3 utilized a cell processor, which was a very I guess I forget the word, but very weird, archaic type of processing unit. Not processing unit, graphics unit, something like that. It wasn't built like a PC. It was built like its own thing, and developing games for it was a bitch. Every third-party title that released during that generation always ran better on 360 because developers were able to utilize, like, they just didn't know how to utilize the cell processor. It was a weird, archaic piece of tech that kind of led to a lot of issues on the long run. And the big thing is that it was really hard to emulate PS3 games. Recently, hobbyists and stuff like that have been able to get it working really well. From what I hear, like PS3 back emulation is much better. But at the end of the day, you have to sell that. Like the difference between like emulation on like someone's computer versus like selling emulated games on like a storefront. There's a lot more hurdles from everything I hear. Still, though, you made the console. I feel like you have a much easier way to get PS3 games fully backwards compatible. And the thing is, the reason we want PS3 back compatible, there's a lot of collections of games from that generation, and a lot of the third-party games you can play on Xbox. At the end of the day, though, there is a lot of games that are stuck on the PS3. You cannot play Infamous 1 and 2. That's pretty fucking
Metal
weird.
Gear Solid 4 is jailed on the PS3.
Metal Gear Solid 4, the Ratchet and Clank games on the system, Little Big Planet. It's so weird. There's so many games, amazing games that you just can't play on the modern consoles because they were made on the PS3 and Sony just refused to emulate them for the longest time and said, "Oh, you could stream them." We've been asking for PS3 emulation literally since like the PS4 launched. It's like I want to play PS3 games on my PS4. And now 10 years later, it's like now I can maybe play them on PS5. If I had to guess, if when they rolled this out, probably around May next year, that's when subscriptions for PS Plus Extra and Premium run out. And they usually like to do a big push around then. Hopefully this is true. We heard this rumor actually a while back from Jeff Grubb, so it seems like this is actually a thing.
They want to surprise me.
Quick story here. This is a weird, funny one. MobileGamer.biz on Twitter. Our estimates suggest under 3,000 people have paid $49.99 to play Assassin's Creed Mirage on iPhone since it launched on June 6th. Other console ports have bombed too. Other console ports being Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, I don't know what the market for this was.
There's no market.
Of course, have you seen? I know you've seen it. This was a while back, trying to like jog memory. When the news first came out that Resident Evil 4 is coming on mobile, they showed an image of like what the touchscreen. It looks insane. Like, how can you play this game?
Weird. You have to play it with like a backbone accessory, basically. Like you play a controller with your phone. But at that point, just put it on a console. Why would I spend $50 to play it on my phone? There's no market for it because mobile gamers want mobile games. Console gamers want console games. So you're trying to appeal to both, but in the end, you get no one. So
there's a reason why gacha games are made the way that they are, and it works on mobile. Full length, like cinematic experiences like Resident Evil 4 it's not. I've never seen it working. It felt weird.
It's like when they tried to do console ports on like PSP or Vita or like the DS and 3DS, like Metal Gear Solid 3D on the DS.
That makes a bit more sense than mobile.
Okay, but like still, like imagine trying to watch the final cutscene of MGS3 on your 3DS. And
it's like a movie.
On the way to work, it's like shit, I gotta pause. I gotta go to work. Moving into the next story. Good news here, Okami Games. Stellar Blade has sold over 1 million copies, Shift Up estimates. PC version is under consideration, but no comment due to contractual obligations. It's coming on PC.
Yeah, I'm even surprised. I'm surprised that they were even able to mention PC, given how Sony's contracts are. It's gonna come to PC, but
I mean, they said under consideration, but like no it's come to PC. I think I saw a lot of people go like, those sales seem pretty bad. 1 million in 2 months for PS5 exclusive is actually insane.
1 million in 2 months for an exclusive brand new IP is really fucking
in a niche genre. You want to know how well Bayonetta games have sold? 1 million. So like the fact that Stellar Blade is already on its way to surpassing Bayonetta sales is both great and also really sad. Holy shit, I hate how people haven't played Bayonetta.
The deal that Nintendo got on Bayonetta is low-key criminal, but if it wasn't for that deal, we wouldn't have Bayonetta. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like monkey's paw. Yeah, Bayonetta 3 is always annoying to me because it's just like, man, imagine this on a PS5 or a PC. It's like, God, it runs so badly on Switch.
Yeah.
So you gonna jump in on Stellar Blade when it jumps on PC?
Oh yeah, I'll try it out. It looks pretty cool.
Looks yeah, and Bench is the only one of us who's played it. I am a fraud. Now, next thing, Stealth 40K. Capcom announced Deadrising Deluxe Remaster out of nowhere. No release date.
This was the weirdest fucking announcement. Why didn't they announce this during like the showcases?
It makes no sense. It's like, why not at the state of play or the Xbox thing? My assumption, I don't know. Like maybe SGF, but like I don't think Keighley would have let this in for free.
Capcom had one of the best announcements in the Nintendo Direct, in my opinion, with that Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Why didn't you just throw this in there too?
I don't think it's on Switch. I think it's just. Well, actually, I think it is.
Did they even say what platforms it's?
And no platforms announced, at least from what I.
It's probably gonna be on everything. I doubt. Like, it depends on how expensive that on Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, but are you a Deadrising guy?
I've never played it. Actually, I was talking with Fusion about it recently, asking about it, but I never played the series, but I always wanted to.
Yeah, I don't see anything about platforms. Yeah, I played a little bit of it. I think it aged pretty badly, but like I still enjoyed a lot of the ideas it was doing, so I might jump in on this, try it out. Apparently, it's gonna be at this Capcom showcase with two other games. Hang on, I think I had this. I didn't put it in. Oh yeah, so they're gonna show off Kunitsugami and the RE7 port for iOS and Mac.
Oh boy.
Capcom's like, oh no, we're not letting SGF or the State of Play be the worst showcase of the summer. We got to come in. We got to intervene.
We got you guys, don't worry.
How do you not even have Monster Hunter there? It's the RE7 iOS port. God bless. Fast one. Hazardor Gaming, Bandai Namco shareholders meeting hints, new Tales of series title likely in development. Next year, Tales franchise celebrates its 30th anniversary with the Tales of Festival June 7th to 8th, 2025. Big shocker, there's a new Tales game in development. You
Yeah.
think it's next year?
I think it's announced next year. I don't know if it's fucking shown. Like drops
Yeah,
next
that'll be
year.
something. Yeah, because
Um,
Rise was 2021.
so the thing with Tails though, because Arise was their big break. That was the like, hey, we got eyes on us now. We really pushed the bar. You can't go back. Like I've been playing. I'm not sure if you've seen it on my Steam profile. I've been diving into Berseria, which is a fantastic story.
Love
Game's
that
fun.
game.
That game has not aged up. You cannot go back.
Well, I
For
mean,
Arise.
like, graphically.
No. Not graphically. Graphically is fine. I'm talking about like the way the game plays. That game compared to Arise, it is
Oh,
night and
it's
day.
a button masher.
Yeah, you cannot go back. You have to just keep going forward. So
I always say about that game is like, wow, it was a really good story, but like after 40 hours, I got real tired of that combat. It's a good game
just spam buttons is all it is.
though. It's funny because it's like, oh, you could try out combos. It's like I don't need to do combos. I could just spam buttons.
For real.
Yeah, and I hope next Tales game. I actually liked Arise, so I'd like a new Tales game.
Arise also had that DLC that like next to nobody played because it was really.
Dude,
They should have made it a whole game.
It was like 2 years afterwards, right?
Yeah, but they were really hyping up. We knew about it a year before it was announced. First of all.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
well no, that wasn't even an announcement.
it was a
Technically,
leak.
it was leaked. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like
But yeah,
I seen the cutscenes of it. I wasn't buying it, and it was like okay, I guess.
November of 2023 is when it came out. Like
Yeah.
2 years after Tales of Arise. The thing about DLC, unless your name is Shadow of the Erdtree, you can't come out 2 years after your original game because nobody cares anymore. Moving into our next story. This is a weird, funny one. This is our first close-up, detailed look at Xbox Keystone. Microsoft's canceled Xbox Cloud Gaming Console. Jez Corden had that, and went into like what Xbox Keystone was and why it was canceled. I'll be honest. There was also the thing about Amazon Fire.
Yeah. What
Adding
about
the
us mentioned?
Xbox
This is why it
Pass
was
app.
canceled. Just go to
Yeah,
fucking
it's
Amazon.
like why would you have a whole new thing? It's like this can play Xbox games. It's like what? Like people. I don't think the common consumer, the casual gamer, wants to stream their games. If they want to play games, they're gonna play it on their phone, like play mobile games. I don't think this is the market
If
that you can
Xbox
capture.
if Xbox wanted to push this, they would have put this in the E3 showcase.
Exactly. It feels like
This
just
is
an
not some.
accessory.
This is something that they were testing out, and they weren't really pushing it to everybody. It is cool. Don't get me wrong, the idea of it, but streaming games. Have you tried the streaming like game service on Xbox? It
I
fucking
tried.
sucks.
I streamed PS3 games on the PS5 or PS4 back in the day because I just wanted PS3 games on my PS4, and I was like, "This sucks."
Like
Yeah,
streaming is like the last ditch effort I would ever do if I really want to play something. But yeah,
Yeah, streaming is just. I don't. With the internet infrastructure in America, especially, I don't think streaming is the future for games at all. I think it'll always kind of be a niche, and people will just download their games or anything.
yep.
It's good to at least have it as an option, I guess. Moving into previews, we had our previews for Concord go up. People seemed positive on it. They were able to play the game. I know Snowbike Mike over at Kind of Funny, he was very positive, thought it was a ton of fun. VGC had a pretty positive preview saying PlayStation's Concord is breaking new ground in how live service games tell stories. I'm going to tell you, Dark, I don't give a shit about this game. I don't know what this game is going to try to do. I pray it's good. I really hope it's good, but it's just like
I read the articles because all the articles were like, "Oh, they're breaking grounds of storytelling." The whole thing that the articles touched about is that there's going to be vignettes, weekly vignettes that's going to tell a story. So the way that I'm viewing this, one, the story has to be good. You have to have people enjoy the story. Two, you're also like it's like quality over quantity. Yeah, you're doing them weekly. How long are these vignettes gonna be? They didn't go to any of this, by the way. Like, how long these vignettes are they gonna just gonna be an image of talking, or are they gonna be like cutscenes? They didn't really dive that deep into it, and they're like, "Oh, this can change everything." Right now, your biggest competition. I know Fortnite has a story. Nobody gives a shit about Fortnite's story. So right now, your biggest competition
I
is
mean,
Apex with their seasonal things, and then the movie like fucking trailers that Overwatch gets. So
that's kind of the thing I wanted to ask you. Have you ever cared about a story in a multiplayer game? Because I'll be honest, it was only really Overwatch for me, and it's not like I cared about it when playing the game. I
I
just
don't
watched the
care about
trailers
the
when they
story.
came out.
The trailers are cool. I like the trailers, and it's cool to know like what's happening, like I know more about the. But I don't really care about like I wouldn't say I'm invested in the Overwatch story.
Here's the best way to say it: when you booted up Apex, did you immediately skip the cutscene whenever they tried to do a cutscene?
I watched it the first time, and then after that, I skipped it. I was
I
more
just like,
invested in Apex's story than Overwatch, but Overwatch just has a movie like cinematics, so I was like, fucking hell.
oh yeah, that Blizzard team. It's just that's my issue is that the whole selling point is like, oh, we're gonna really try to tell a story in a multiplayer game, but one, your characters don't look very interesting right now. Personally, like when one of the characters is called like Star Child, it's like, okay, you're trying real hard here. It's like, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I hope that the game does good. I'm not trying to hate on the game, but like you
I
have a
mean,
really hard sell for having pretty much an exclusive game that you have to pay for, and your biggest
it's on
competition is
PC.
Overwatch and a Marvel game that's like Overwatch. So,
Yeah, no, it's like Hero Shooter Space is tough. Coming out on PC, it's $40. It just, I don't know. I want to be wrong, but I think this game is gonna come out and blow out into the wind, and no one's gonna care about it.
I
After
feel
like
like
a
that might
month.
be the case too, sadly.
Yeah. I hope it's good. Fusion's excited still. God bless him.
Yeah, true.
Into reviews, we only get. But there was the reviews for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD 78. Not too surprising. It's Luigi's Mansion 2. Cool. But interestingly, your beloved Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak got reviews. 84 on OpenCritic. IGN gave it an 8. Nintendo Life gave it an 8. Couple 9s and 10s and whatnot.
Yep.
You played this game already
I've
through the English
played and beaten
translation?
this. Yeah. So there was these games. We're playing catch up in the West. We're playing catch up. We actually might be fully caught up next year, but it's a whole different topic. But these games came out a couple of years ago on Steam for Japanese only, and the localization team that made the other English ports for like the West, they went and made a fan translation. So it's the same type of quality. You get the same story. Yeah, I played through the game fully. It's utterly incredible. I think it's one of the best JRPGs, turn-based JRPGs I've played. And you don't need to know the whole backstory of Trails because it's like Trails is a fucking really long series. You can just hop straight into this one if you really want to. But yeah, I'm glad it's reviewing good. I know Bench is really hyped for it. That'd be his first time playing it. We were talking about it earlier.
When does it come out?
Next week.
Oh, next week. Oh my god. God bless.
Yep.
Yeah. I where are my remakes, buddy? My Trails to the Sky remakes.
I mentioned this in the chat. They've mentioned the idea of remakes like within the last 6 months. So keep that in mind. Like they're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna fucking start working on them now or if they've been working on them. They're gonna come because you can't play the first like fucking trilogy. Like unless you're on Steam, you can't access those fucking games. So they have to do it eventually if you want the series to like get even bigger than it is. I don't know how those remakes will look. I don't know if they're gonna make the remakes 3D or if they're gonna stick them to the 2D that they are. But I do believe the remakes are coming eventually.
Yeah, it's a very small but dedicated fan base for that series, and I think they really want to see it explode. One piece of news I almost missed actually: Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater had some. Sorry, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater had some extra details. Apparently, you can apply various filters. You get the legacy style, the sepia filter, the retro, aka the legacy style, the
Saturation.
piss filter.
Yeah,
We're back, baby. The piss filter's back. And then there were some interesting comments from the series producer. They say they really want to work with Hideo Kojima again. That Kojima is credited in the original credits, but he hasn't worked on this specific remake. I kind of wanted to ask you, do you think they can make a brand new Metal Gear game without Kojima?
Okay, my question is, I mean, yes, they can, but it's not gonna be what you think it is, and I can tell you exactly what it is and how it'll work too.
Don't say survive. Don't say survive.
Metal Gear Revengeance 2. They set it up, Kojima didn't work in that game. They know this shit. Like, there is a way to do this. I don't know why they haven't done it.
I'll tell
It
you
is
why.
possible.
Revengeance didn't sell that well.
Yeah. I've been replaying Metal Gear Solid 3 actually as well. I wanted to see how it held up before the remake. That game still holds up fucking well today.
Okay.
The one thing that can make this game even more perfect is two things: the inclusion of crouch walking that the 3DS version had. There's actually mod. I'm playing the PC version, so there's a mod that you can add that lets you crouch. It is such a big improvement, and then just make the control scheme the same as 5, and you're chilling. Because holding X to aim, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, we passed those times.
We got to work hard on that. I bet they'll definitely like change around the controls. They haven't mentioned much on like the actual controls or how things are.
I know. I'm kind of worried about that.
I'm hoping we're most likely gonna get worst case scenario. I mean, also you could probably like remap the controls to the system menu, which is annoying,
hopefully.
but still a thing. But yeah, I bet we'll get something soon. Do you think it's this year still?
I think it's I just don't know why they haven't revealed the date. We have so much information and they showed a lot about this game.
I mean, they haven't revealed the date for Avowed yet, so
It's either this year. I mean, they did, but they removed it. But it's either this year or it's January next.
yeah, it's either
So
next year. Yeah, I can see that. I hope it's this year.
I really hope it's this year. I love this. I think this is when I think of Metal Gear, I think of 3. 3 just symbolizes everything Metal Gear is to me, and the story is up there for me in gaming stories.
Yeah, I love MGS3. I do think I had I heard this idea of like MGS6 where Snake basically becomes like the Colonel Campbell and they try to move the story from there. You into that? And like you get a new super soldier that he controls or that you play as, I mean.
But that would mean that Solid Snake, because the whole thing of, I mean, we're getting into spoilers right now.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. We can talk about. Yeah, for sure. I do hope. I hope this is the beginning of more. Like, if this does well, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna remake 1. We're gonna."
I think this will go. I think this will do well. If I was them, I'd immediately do 1 because 1 needs the remake and Twin Snakes does not count. One remake will be really good.
You're a Twin Snakes tater too. I'm so glad I found my brother in. I hate that game so much.
It just wasn't it.
The fucking moment where he flips over the missile, I'm like, this is dumb. I hate it. It's okay when Rising does that shit, but not MGS1 or Twin Snakes. Moving into what we've been playing, the big thing, Shadow of the Erdtree. How many hours?
I am like an hour and a half in. I just got it up and low. So yeah, I'm on PC, and there's a reason for this. I did not want to go do like a whole playthrough again just to make it to the DLC, so I took a character file and just I did that, and I want to mess around with mods. Cool story of mods. They're pain in the ass to set up, but I got it going. The DLC is utterly incredible. Visually, it's stunning. I know a lot of people are complaining that the DLC is too hard. They don't fucking know how to play the game.
I wanted to get into that. They don't
know how to play the game. It is the game tells you get the Shadow Tree fragments for because the DLC has its own leveling system. They did this because they don't want people who are level 300 to just whack everything in the DLC and that's it. So they made its own little leveling system where you have to get these fragments and it makes the game easier for you. People, however, completely ignore this feature and just go into the DLC and get their asses beat. And they're like, the game sucks. Learn the fucking read.
No, 100%. It's like such a silly complaint to say, oh, the game's too hard now. It's like you're playing a DLC for a FromSoft game. Like, you've played the DLC for FromSoft games. You know how hard they get. Especially with like stuff like Sister Freed or Dark Eater Madeir. I would say there are bosses in this DLC that are harder, but like for the most part, most of them are around that level, if not weaker. So I'm genuinely surprised that people are like, oh, it's too difficult now. It's like, complaining about how the game was too easy.
Granted, I'm still very early on. I've only defeated that guy with the crossbow. And
oh my god!
Everybody was complaining about him. I beat him my first try in like 2 minutes. It's not difficult.
Same. That's what I was saying. It's not even like a humble brag. It's just go explore, get Skadoo tree fragments. That's
dude.
How
this world is so like I'm one of those people. You know how I play games. I like to beeline shit. This game is so beautiful, and it's one of the. This is actually Elden Ring is the longest game it took me to beat ever. It took me a full week to beat Elden Ring. of just playing.
God forbid.
Yeah, I know, right? And if you know how I play games, this is a big difference. The DLC, I'm just exploring because it's just fucking interesting. The game just pushes you in that direction. Don't fight the game design in this case. Just go for the experience and you have a good time.
100%. Yeah. I beat the DLC after I think about like 40 hours of playtime with the DLC around. So 10 of those hours was on the final boss. Here's the thing: is that like I play very masochistically. I don't use summons. I don't use the spirit ashes, anything like that, because I like the challenge. And the bosses in this DLC are absolutely fucking incredible. There's a couple stinkers, but like for the most part, some of these bosses are genuinely some of the best boss fights I've fought in a video game. Probably my favorite FromSoft boss of all time was in this DLC.
I know who you're talking about because everybody's talking about the fucking boss and I've seen it. That boss fight's fucking insane.
Yeah, on the mountain, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that is perfection, especially with the summon. Oh my god, that is a 10 out of 10 boss fight. Genuinely, from the bottom of my that is like I cannot think of a single thing that boss fight does wrong. And the final boss is fucking hard. It is so difficult, especially without summons or spirit ashes. It is a fight that truly tests everything. It's a true final test for everything that you learn from the Dark Souls franchise, even everything from each game, and genuinely leads to like an absolute phenomenal experience. I love the fight and learning it, but man, did it kick my ass for days and days. I just could not beat that boss. But again, it's like that feeling is it's impossible to replicate that feeling of beating a boss that you were stuck on for days and just screaming out like yeah as loud as you can. Unbelievable. This is FromSoft at their best. Genuinely, I think this is probably my favorite DLC of all time, and I have to sit on it, but it could skyrocket Elden Ring to being my favorite game of all time. But I have I have to think really hard about it. I'm given the whole year to think if that's actually going to be the case.
What type of build you had?
Big old great sword.
Yes, I got the gut sword and I got the big Oonga Boonga.
Yeah, you gotta play great sword build. I love the fucking Unga Bunga builds.
Yep.
But,
there's a lot of Berserk reference. I recently read through the entirety of Berserk, and the FromSoft series, they will always take an inspiration. And just right off there is so many Berserk references at this fucking DLC.
Are you kidding me?
Did anyone really have you on it?
It is interesting. Basically, Miyazaki said something like, "Oh, he would never make his own Berserk game."
Yeah,
and
right.
I saw people say it's like, well, he like Berserk licensed game, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But he said a lot of people are saying like, this is basically what.
This is from what I'm seeing already, just like stuff that he has in the game. Like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, 100%. Phenomenal. Play it. It's an absolute must play. I asked Bench this. Do you think this is game of the year contender? Like, would that conversation start happening?
Honestly, I think the conversation will happen just because it is what it is. I'm against it. I don't think DLC should be winning game of the year. I feel like it's disrespectful to the full games that did come out. I'm not trying to take away from the DLC. The DLC is fantastic. It just feels like something that will happen. I would not be surprised if Jeff said like, "Yo, this is going to be up there." That said, I don't know.
It is interesting. My viewpoint is the same. It's like, yeah, I get this is DLC is phenomenal. Elden Ring is the most awarded game of all time. Like, I don't know if they need even more awards. Like, yeah, give them some awards. For the love of God, add a best DLC category at the Game Awards and like other outlets. Like, that'd be awesome. Because like it feels weird. It felt weird last year when like Phantom Liberty was on top 10 lists. It's like, that's a little unfair.
Yeah, I play Phantom. Don't get me wrong, the Phantom Liberty is great. I wouldn't put it for like Game of the Year either.
Yeah, we will see. That's definitely gonna be a conversation that we're gonna have moving into the rest of the year. But we're not doing that because this is the end of this episode. I gotta get better at ending these episodes. Thank you for joining me, Dark. It was a good, fun podcast. Very short, very fun.
Mm-hmm. Always a pleasure.
If you guys want to check us out, again, YouTube, Spotify, all the places we pods are caught. Like the podcast, subscribe. Anything helps us out. But yeah, that's all. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Have a good one.